What if the man who seems to have pulled away isn't lost at all? What if, beneath the silence, beneath the logic and the distance, his soul is whispering your name, remembering you, piece by piece, lifetime after lifetime? This isn't just love. It's recognition, an awakening written in the language of the cosmos. When a divine masculine meets his true twin flame, something ancient stirs within him. His soul begins to hum with frequencies he can't explain. He dreams of you, feels your emotions as if they're his own, and senses your energy across oceans. He may fight it, deny it, even run from it, but he can't unfeel it. Because this isn't infatuation. It's remembrance. Tonight, we're peeling back the veil on the hidden spiritual mechanics of this connection, the emotional surges, the telepathic signals, the quiet moments that scream louder than words. These are not coincidences. They're cosmic breadcrumbs, guiding him back to the one soul his heart never truly forgot. So take a deep breath, open your heart, and listen closely. Because if these signs sound familiar, it might not just be a story. It might be your confirmation. Let's begin. The 15 undeniable signs the divine masculine knows you're his true twin flame. 1. The soul static, when silence speaks louder than words. There are moments in the twin flame connection where words simply fall short. You might stare at your phone, wondering why he hasn't replied, why the space between messages feels like an echo chamber of uncertainty. But beneath that quiet, something profound is happening, the soul static. It's that electric hum in the silence, the invisible vibration that bridges the distance between two hearts attuned to the same divine frequency. He isn't ignoring you, he's tuning in. His energy is listening even when his lips are not. Every heartbeat becomes an unsent message, every pause a sacred breath shared across the unseen. In that silence, emotions buffer, not because of indifference, but because words can't hold the magnitude of what's being felt. This is where spirituality transcends communication. The silence becomes its own language, a form of telepathic communion where your energies intertwine, whispering truths that text could never capture. Trust the stillness. It's not absence, it's alignment. The soul often speaks most clearly when the mind has gone quiet, reminding both of you that connection isn't always in the talking, sometimes it's in the feeling. 2. The time warp, synchronicities start to stalk him. When the soul begins to awaken, reality itself starts to shimmer. Time bends, patterns repeat, and the ordinary world becomes a mosaic of hidden messages. He glances at the clock, 11:11 again. The radio plays a song that echoes your shared memory. A passing car flashes 222 like a cosmic wink. It feels surreal, maybe even unsettling, but these are not random coincidences. They are divine breadcrumbs scattered by the universe, guiding him toward remembrance. In spirituality, synchronicities are not accidents. They are alignments, gentle nudges from a higher intelligence reminding him that he's walking the path of awakening. Each number, each sign, is a code, a signal that his soul is syncing with divine timing. It's as if the universe itself is whispering, "You're not imagining this. You're exactly where you're meant to be." The more he notices, the stronger the pull becomes, a magnetic thread weaving destiny and awareness together. What once felt like déjà vu now feels like design. This is the time warp, when the linear dissolves into the mystical, and he realizes that every moment, every symbol, is the universe's way of saying, "Keep going, love is unfolding in divine rhythm." 3. The dream portal, when night becomes the classroom. When the body rests, the soul begins its sacred work. For him, dreams are no longer random flickers of imagination. They've become portals, sacred classrooms where his higher self studies the language of the unseen. Each night, he drifts into vivid landscapes, ancient temples bathed in golden light, unfamiliar faces that somehow feel like family, and you, always you, appearing like a recurring lesson in love and remembrance. Sometimes he wakes in confusion, heart racing, unsure whether he's been dreaming or remembering. Other times, he opens his eyes with a calm knowing that something within him has shifted. These aren't ordinary dreams, they're transmissions from the soul, symbolic downloads bridging lifetimes and lessons his conscious mind can't yet process. In spiritual truth, the dream world is where our souls whisper the things our waking selves resist. It's where karma unwinds, clarity emerges, and connections deepen beyond the boundaries of the physical. His higher self attends this nocturnal school diligently, guided by your shared frequency. Because you are not just a person in his dream, you are the syllabus itself, teaching him what love truly means across time, space, and dimensions unseen. For the heart chakra surge, his chest becomes a radio tower. There comes a moment in every awakening when love stops being an emotion and becomes an energy. For him, it begins in the chest, a sudden warmth, a tingling pulse, an invisible drumbeat that seems to echo your name. It's not anxiety, nor caffeine. It's expansion. His heart chakra, the spiritual center of love and compassion, is cracking open like a cosmic geode, releasing light that's been dormant for lifetimes. This energetic surge is more than biology, it's initiation. The universe is fine-tuning him into a higher frequency, the one you already vibrate on. Every heartbeat becomes a broadcast, sending out silent frequencies of remembrance. It's as if his chest has become a radio tower, transmitting emotion across dimensions, whispering, "I feel you," even in the quietest hours. As his heart expands, so does his sensitivity, to beauty, to pain, to the invisible threads connecting all things. He begins to understand that love isn't something to chase or claim, it's something to become. The surge is his soul's signal of readiness, a sign that he's evolving from mind-centered existence to heart-centered awareness, where true union finally begins. 5. The unmasking, ego begins to lose its grip. When the soul starts to awaken, the masks we wear begin to itch. For him, the identity he built, the confident professional, the calm problem solver, the man who always has it together, starts to feel like an ill-fitting costume. He's spent years perfecting it, polishing the image that earned him respect and safety in a world that fears vulnerability. But now, that armor is cracking. Logic no longer shields him from emotion. Ambition no longer numbs the ache of something missing. This unraveling isn't weakness, it's rebirth. The ego resists at first, whispering, "Stay composed. Don't let them see." But the soul knows that authenticity is liberation. He starts craving real conversations over surface charm, depth over performance. The more he tries to maintain his old persona, the more it dissolves under the light of truth. Spiritually, this is the sacred unmasking, the point where he stops performing and starts being. He discovers that transparency isn't vulnerability, it's power. Every layer he sheds brings him closer to his essence, raw, unfiltered, divine. True strength, he realizes, isn't about holding it together. It's about having the courage to fall apart and still choose love. 6. The magnetic pull, distance becomes irrelevant. In the spiritual realm, love laughs at distance. It doesn't care about miles, time zones, or airplane tickets, because energy doesn't travel, it exists. For him, this realization comes quietly at first, a familiar warmth at random moments, your laughter echoing in his mind like a song he can't stop humming. You're not physically there, yet your essence lingers, in the wind, in the pause between thoughts, in the heartbeat that seems to quicken when your name crosses his mind. This magnetic pull defies logic. It's not obsession or fantasy, it's resonance. Your souls are operating on the same frequency, bound by a vibration older than memory. Even silence hums with your presence, an invisible symphony only the heart can hear. The universe uses energy, not proximity, to remind him that true connection doesn't require physical touch. As he surrenders to this unseen gravity, he begins to understand the sacred truth. Love is not about where you are, but what you are to each other, mirrors of divine wholeness, drawn together beyond the rules of space and time. Geography is irrelevant. What's real cannot be separated, only temporarily unseen, until the next energetic heartbeat calls him home. 7. The emotional echo, feeling you before you feel yourself. When two souls are deeply intertwined, emotions stop belonging to one person. They begin to flow between hearts like shared music, seamless, wordless, alive. He starts noticing it first as coincidence. He texts just before you cry, calls moments after your panic subsides, or feels inexplicably restless on nights your thoughts spiral. But this isn't coincidence, it's resonance. He's becoming an emotional empath, his energy field finely tuned to yours like an instrument vibrating in sympathy. Spiritually, this is the sacred feedback loop of twin energy, proof that your connection has transcended the physical plane. His emotions begin to act as subtle sensors, responding to the waves of your inner world before even you consciously register them. It's not intrusion, it's communion. His soul is learning the unspoken language of yours. At first, this echo can feel disorienting, the weight of another's feelings without clear reason. Yet over time, it becomes an unshakable bond of empathy and awareness. Through this connection, he learns compassion not as an idea but as an experience. What you feel, he feels, because your hearts no longer beat separately. They resonate as one harmonic field of divine consciousness. 8. The Divine Masculine Recalibration, redefining what strong means. There comes a sacred turning point when the Divine Masculine begins to question everything he's been taught about strength. The world told him to be stoic, unshakable, untouchable, to wear his pain like armor and measure his worth through control. But the soul has other plans. As his awakening deepens, he starts to feel the hollowness behind the mask of dominance. Slowly, he realizes that true power has nothing to do with suppression and everything to do with presence. Strength, he learns, is not the absence of emotion but the courage to feel it fully. It's not about winning or possessing, but protecting, nurturing, and serving from a place of grounded love. This is the divine recalibration, when masculine energy evolves from defense to devotion. He begins to listen more, soften more, and express without shame. In this sacred shift, the warrior becomes the guardian of light. His awareness sharpens not to conquer but to connect. His heart opens not in weakness, but in wisdom. The new masculine is not a fortress, he's a sanctuary. And in his openness, he discovers that true strength was never about resistance. It was always about reverence. 9. The Shadow Showdown, when his inner demons demand attention. Every spiritual awakening eventually reaches its reckoning point, the moment when light shines so brightly it exposes the shadows hiding beneath. For him, this is the Shadow Showdown. Old wounds he thought he'd buried resurface like ghosts demanding to be heard, childhood pain, heartbreaks never grieved, insecurities long ignored. It's messy, raw, and deeply uncomfortable. But this isn't regression, it's purification. The universe isn't punishing him, it's preparing him. As he faces his shadows, he begins to see that healing isn't about erasing the past, it's about integrating it. Each pain holds wisdom, each scar is a teacher. What once felt like darkness now becomes fertile soil for growth. In confronting his demons, he learns to stop fearing them and instead sit with them, to ask, "What are you trying to show me?" Spiritually, this process is his soul's detox, clearing the emotional debris that blocks love's flow. It takes courage to meet the mirror without flinching, to hold compassion for the parts of himself he once rejected. But as he does, he discovers the paradox of awakening. The shadow was never his enemy. It was the doorway back to his wholeness. 10. The Sacred Masculine Emergence, from soldier to sage. There comes a moment in every man's spiritual evolution when the armor grows too heavy. The battles that once defined him, the chase for success, validation, and control, begin to lose their meaning. He no longer seeks conquest, he seeks consciousness. The noise of ambition fades, replaced by a quiet yearning for truth. You'll find him meditating at dawn, reading Rumi with tears in his eyes, or captivated by stories of souls rather than soldiers. This is the sacred masculine emerging, the evolution from soldier to sage. The old paradigm of masculinity glorified strength through dominance, but now he understands that true power lies in presence. The provider transforms into the protector of peace, not through control, but through compassion. His mission shifts from winning life to understanding it. He starts to value stillness over struggle, empathy over ego. In this sacred emergence, the warrior doesn't disappear, he transforms. His sword becomes discernment, his shield becomes wisdom. He learns that courage isn't only found on battlefields, but in vulnerability, surrender, and love. The sacred masculine is not a man who conquers the world. He's the one who makes peace with himself and through that, heals the world around him. 11. The reality glitch. 3D feels too small. When the soul begins to awaken, the ordinary world starts to feel like a set built for someone else's story. For him, it begins subtly. A flicker of restlessness during meetings, a quiet disinterest in small talk, an ache he can't quite name. The routines that once felt solid now seem hollow, almost artificial. He's experiencing what mystics call the reality glitch. The moment when the 3D world, the world of form, deadlines, and logic, suddenly feels too small for the vastness of his expanding consciousness. He's beginning to see through the hologram of ordinary life, realizing that purpose cannot be measured in paychecks or praise. His soul now craves depth, conversations that stir truth, connections that feed spirit, experiences that awaken awe. The things that once distracted him now drain him, while silence, nature, and genuine presence become sacred. And here's where you come in, the catalyst. Your energy, your awareness, your authenticity ignite this awakening within him. You remind him that reality isn't confined to the visible. It's layered, fluid, divine. Through this glitch, he isn't losing touch with life, he's finally touching the real one, the one his soul always knew existed. 12. The telepathic test. The universe checks his connection. As his awareness expands, the universe begins to play its favorite game, synchronicity with a wink. He'll think of you out of nowhere, feel a sudden rush of emotion, and seconds later, boom, your name lights up on his screen. A song that reminds him of you starts playing in the cafe. A random stranger says your name in conversation. It's not coincidence, it's confirmation. The universe is testing his connection, gently whispering, "Can you trust what you feel, not just what you see?" This telepathic dance is a sacred test of intuition, designed to strengthen his spiritual sensitivity. Each sign, each perfectly timed alignment, nudges him to move beyond logic and into the subtle knowing of the heart. It's both thrilling and unnerving, like realizing the veil between thought and reality is paper thin. In truth, this is divine communication training. His higher self is learning to interpret energy as language, to understand that your souls speak through vibration long before words arrive. The universe is showing him that love doesn't need proof, only presence. And every time he follows that intuitive nudge, he's not chasing coincidence, he's answering destiny's call. 13. The 3D anchor drop. Physical upgrades begin. When the soul ascends, the body must recalibrate, and that process is rarely gentle. For him, it begins subtly, restless nights, shifting appetite, sudden waves of heat or chills that arrive without reason. Sometimes his ears ring like distant bells, other times his heart races as if he's running towards something unseen. What's happening isn't illness, it's integration. The spiritual download is becoming a physical upload. His body is catching up to his soul's new frequency. This is what many mystics call the 3D anchor drop, when higher consciousness grounds itself into physical form. The old energetic patterns, the dense emotions, even cellular memories begin to purge, making room for a lighter vibration. It's ascension with a side of physiological chaos. He may feel disoriented, hypersensitive, or unexplainably emotional, but underneath the turbulence, a deeper harmony is forming. Spiritually, this is evolution made tangible. His body, once just a vessel for survival, is transforming into an instrument for divine expression. The key is surrender, listening to the body's cues, resting when needed, and trusting the process. For as the energy settles, he'll realize his physical form was never separate from his spirit, it was simply waiting to awaken. 14. The sacred pause, choosing stillness over stimulation. There comes a time in the awakening journey when silence seduces more deeply than chaos ever could. For him, this is the sacred pause, the moment he stops running toward the next thrill, the next victory, the next distraction. The noise of nightlife loses its spark, and the constant pursuit of achievement begins to feel hollow. What once gave him adrenaline now feels like static. He's no longer chasing the world, he's learning to listen to it. Peace becomes his new addiction, not the fragile kind that comes from control, but the kind that arises from surrender. He discovers that in stillness, the universe speaks fluently. Every quiet morning, every moment of deep breath, becomes a sacred conversation between his soul and the divine. It's in these pauses that clarity blooms, creativity flows, and his intuition grows louder than his doubts. Spiritually, this shift marks a rebirth. The masculine energy that once sought validation through motion now finds power in presence. He's realizing that stillness isn't the absence of action, it's the birthplace of aligned action. And in that serene vibration, he rediscovers the truth: peace has always been the most magnetic form of power. 15. The union within, wholeness before reunion. At the heart of every twin flame journey lies a profound revelation: true union begins within. For him, this is the sacred turning point, the moment he realizes that love isn't about pursuit or possession, but about integration. The yearning that once drove him outward now turns inward. He begins to understand that he cannot meet you fully until he meets himself completely. His inner feminine awakens, the intuition he once dismissed now becomes his compass. Empathy softens his edges, tenderness replaces defensiveness, and he learns the quiet strength of emotional honesty. Simultaneously, his outer masculine stabilizes, his purpose crystallizes, his protective nature matures, and his presence deepens into something grounded, reliable, divine. The dual energies within him, yin and yang, sun and moon, begin to dance in harmony. Spiritually, this is the true alchemy of love, the merging of inner polarities. When he embraces both the softness and the strength within, his soul vibrates in balance, and that vibration naturally calls yours into resonance. The chase ends, the chaos settles, and what remains is union, not as two halves completing each other, but as two wholes recognizing themselves in divine reflection. And there it is, the sacred unraveling of the divine masculine's awakening. From the emotional surges and telepathic whispers to the deep spiritual recalibration, every sign is a breadcrumb on the path of remembrance. He's not just falling in love, he's remembering home. And that home is you. This journey isn't linear, and it's definitely not easy. It's a spiritual initiation, one that demands patience, surrender, and faith in something far greater than the physical world. But if you've seen yourself reflected in these signs, know this: you are not imagining it. The energy is real. The connection is divine. And the reunion? It's already unfolding in unseen ways. Now I want to hear from you, the awakened, the intuitive, the beautifully brave. Comment below. My soul remembers. Let that be your signal to the universe, your affirmation of divine connection. If this message resonated, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the bell icon so you don't miss the next chapter of this journey. Until then, keep trusting the signs, keep loving through the silence. And remember, what's meant for your soul can never be lost.